Thank you, Jenny. So I promised at the beginning of today that you would learn a little bit more about one of our innovation partners, CropLife International. So I would like to introduce to the stage my colleague, Margaret Richardson, to introduce the next session. Margaret?
Is this on? Great. Thanks, Kate. And I'd like to invite Emily Rees, the President and CEO of CropLife International, to the stage, and Dr. Samira Amellal, the Director General and CEO of CropLife Africa and Middle East. So for those of you who don't know, CropLife is the global advocate for the plant science industry and champion of innovative technology that enables farmers to sustainably increase productivity. And before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge it's amazing to be sitting on stage with two incredible female leaders in an industry where so many of the decision makers are still male. So maybe a round of applause for that. Emily, I'd love to ask you just to set the stage for us. We know from conversations happening here at COP and for years now that climate change impacts the global agricultural production and food systems. So give us some specifics. What are the challenges that you're seeing?
So first, I think it's worth it. Thank you very much for having us here. I think it's worth reminding we're going to have the hottest year on Earth, right? 2023, marking a pretty dramatic turn here in this tipping point. We're seeing more climate shocks, and this evidently has big impacts on agriculture, and they're already taking place. We've seen, for instance, drought, floods, changes in rainfall patterns affecting crops worldwide. So, for instance, drop in production in maize in Argentina due to drought. We saw the floods in Pakistan last year also affect the wheat production. All of these are becoming the new reality. And with that, it's not only the weather patterns, it's also what it means for the intensity and the movement of pests and diseases worldwide that affect then the crops, the yields, and the livelihoods of farmers. And so this really is part now of not only the mitigation questions, but also the adaptation questions that we need to be looking at. And particularly, what are the climate smart practices, the integrated pest and disease management that can be put into place to support farmers in this transition.
And can you tell us about some of those climate smart practices that you're seeing? Like, what are some of the solutions that you've seen?
So what we look at is a number of integrated pest management solutions, which really are providing farmers with the right toolbox. And that can be a number of technologies. It could be biopesticides, chemical pesticides. It could be biotechnology. It could be new genomic technique, plant breeding innovations. There is a new level, I would say, of technology and innovation that is coming into this space that really has to be tailored to local requirements, because really we're seeing climate change impacting farming worldwide in very different ways as countries are affected by these climatic shocks in very different ways. And I think with that, one of the elements that we keep in mind is that the big food producers of today might be the big food importers of tomorrow. So we need to build local resilience in production, and we also need to make sure that we can facilitate trade around the world to ensure food security for all.
And Dr. Samira, as the Director General and CEO of the Africa Middle East program at CropLife, you know all about local resilience. I was reading, Africa has an enormous potential with regards to food production, but I was surprised to see that 82% of basic food is still imported from outside the country. I know this is something you think a lot about. Can you tell us why that is?
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for having us here today. Before to answer to your question, we can unlock the potential of agriculture in Africa and Middle East region.
The mic's
Yeah, can we get? Hello? Yeah, let's try this mic.
Come on.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I said before to answer your question, how we can unlock the potential of agriculture in Africa and Middle East, allow me to set the context in our region. Our region contributes marginally to the climate change crisis with less than 4% of the global carbon emission. However, our region is faced with increasingly challenges impact of the climate crisis. And this is more through, if considering the unique and the local climatic agronomic condition in our region. Our growers are faced of new emerging pests and diseases from desert plague invasion. If we can say that one small swarm can consume per day the amount of 35,000 per people, and it's increasingly challenging as context of food security in our continent. So we are estimating that in Africa, 16% of the population is faced with food insecurity and approximately 13% in the MENA region. And in the meantime, FAO, they estimate to support the growing population by 2050, we need to increase our productivity by 50%. So I believe that plant science technology can really play a role to produce more with less, contributing to food security, to contributing to less importation. And from my opinion, there is 5 key actions that we need to work together. So first of all, we need based evidence of policies contributing to ensure green transition localized to Africa. So when in our continent we talk about to reduce crop protection, when in our farmers still not have access to all innovation, it's not resonate to the local reality. Secondly, we really need to ensure that food security policies are integrated as high priority from our leaders in their policy. We need to enable a legislative framework of agricultural innovation, equitable technologies, access. Our farmers in Africa and Middle East have the right to access to the technologies at the same time, such as other farmers in US and in Brazil. Our farmers can benefit from innovation like genome editing to adapt their farming practice face all these climate changes. And also we need to encourage young farmers through growing their agribusiness to have also the ability to trade. So we will ensure that we will keep this ambition, this motivation to continue to be farmers in our region, and in the meantime to encourage trade and access to the market.
And I know one of the things you've been focused on is the launch of the Sustainable Pesticide Management Framework in Kenya and Morocco, which was designed to address the intertwined issues of climate change and food insecurity. Can you tell us a little bit more about that specific initiative?
Yeah, for Sustainable Pesticide Management Framework, it's a concrete action in the ground, led and implemented by industry, and also with the cooperation with several stakeholders at country level, private and public sector. This initiative is strong commitment from our industry for 5 years to be part of the sustainable agriculture. This program is already launched and implemented in Morocco and Kenya, and it's in his way to be implemented next year in Egypt. As I said, this is a real concrete example of action implemented in the ground with objective to reduce reliance on high hazard pesticide, push innovation, and to ensure there is sustainable use of pesticide. We are already observing change, impact at level of farmers in the ground with using more technologies and innovation safely. We are working together with the registrar on legislative framework to accelerate, for example, the biological solution. And we also working with academia and local research to explore the potential of gene editing in agriculture in Africa. It's a very strong program, and Emily can talk more on that because it's a worldwide program.
Emily, I'd love to hear from you. This was one of the initiatives we talked about as sort of crucial to this issue. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the initiative and then also other biotech products that you're seeing.
Sure. I mean, the sustainable pesticide management framework is an innovation sprint, and it's part of the Aim for C climate provisions that we put forward. It really is our industry's contribution also to the COP process. Now, it's a $13 million program, so it's a really long-term engagement over 5 years that we're rolling out in 9 countries. So starting with Africa, Middle East, this year expanding to Vietnam, Thailand, and Egypt, and then in the next year to Latin America. And the focus here really is on low to middle income countries. And again, I think it's an extraordinary initiative in terms of ensuring the responsible use and good agricultural practices in the field. And we do that via a peer-to-peer knowledge exchange amongst farmers. And I think that really is what's proving to be the success of this program.
And in your capacity, you see other sort of crucial, important tools for addressing climate change in the biotech. We were talking about one earlier. Do you want to share about the cassava?
So I just came back from the African Innovation Agricultural Conference, and it was just so interesting to see the buzz happening there in the African region about all these new technologies being deployed in Africa to increase the productivity gap that we were just mentioning, right? Some being cassava, for instance, disease-resistant cassava, or drought-tolerant maize are also being deployed in Africa. We've seen some interesting developments in Nigeria with BT cowpea, for instance, which is really a local crop and with huge differences in productivity gains. And speaking to the farmers that have been deploying it, the decision makers in Africa over what they're seeing on the ground is just really incredible. So a lot of exciting, I think, progress happening in that region and where it's most needed, right?
Right. Before I let you go, one of the reasons we bring this issue to the Devex stage is we think this is a topic that needs to be discussed more and in policymakers' rooms, in our audience. I'm wondering, what would you like the people listening, both online and in the room, what would you like them to know about this? I know it's your last day at COP, but what do you wish people really take away on these issues, both of you?
Maybe as someone who's been through many COPs, I come, I think quite optimistic. Maybe that's just my general optimism, but quite optimistic out of this COP28 in Dubai, particularly on the progress that we've seen in terms of integrating food systems, sustainable agriculture, those conversations, climate smart precision techniques as well, being integrated into the discussions, probably in the first way, in the first more structured way, and that with the UAE declaration now that is being brought forward, 140 countries having signed up. I think this is really big progress. And what it means is that we're going to see by the time we get to COP30 in Belém, countries will have integrated into their national determined contributions, into the national adaptation plans, their own national localized plans for sustainable food systems and agriculture. And that's going to, I think, speed up a lot of the, not only these conversations, but also the localized solutions on the ground.
Dr. Samira, what do you wish folks take away?
Look, it's an amazing platform, of course, COP28, but if I can make observation, often such manifestation and event is more input-driven rather than to be output-driven. So we need concrete action now that will change and impact the behavior of our farmers now in the ground in Africa and Middle East. So there is urgent need to enable policy framework that will help to smallholder farmers to access to the innovation. We need to promote more this cooperation again in the ground between private, public, and work together to achieve the sustainable agriculture and food security. I'm coming from a country, I'm living in Morocco, and I can say you when we have good years is when we have a good agriculture season. We feel the impact in the society. We feel that there is a decrease of food commodity. People are happy. Our farmers can send their kids to the school. They can learn their kids. It's happiness, prosperity. So I believe on the potential of agriculture to unlock the economy, the society, prosperity in our region. And we need urgently to make sure that all the agriculture's policies, access innovation, equitable access to the technology can be fully integrated in the climate action policies.
Thank you both for joining us here at the Climate Plus Summit. We're really, really appreciative, and thank you for being innovation partners to this summit. It's been thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.